How do you use AI in your workflow relative to Instagram?
I mean, literally everything that I do, I'm using AI at this point. I was doing design and social strategy, and I just shifted and still speak to all those same people, but I'm using AI now.
They can literally have a conversation with AI, and I let them know too. Some people don't like to let people know it's AI. I'd rather let you know so you see it, for what it is, because I'm offering anyway.
Honestly, I use it in a lot of different ways, and it's really more about the small things that are kind of mundane, like rinse repeat activities that I don't need to hire somebody for, or that I could take off of my team's plate. A lot of that is.
We have two AI professionals joining us to discuss about how to create content, spark ideas, and grow using AI on Instagram. How do you use AI in your workflow relative to Instagram?
So I use AI as a sort of a pseudo appointment setter. And so what I do, I have AI connected to ManyChat, and then when you click a certain options, when you ask questions, the AI is already pre-programmed with the responses to those commonly asked questions. And the goal is to get someone, of course, on a phone call or a consultation. And so and we make sure we add the prompts in a way where we have, of course, a friendly tone. We're answering in the, using expert knowledge, and then asking the appropriate questions before we get them on the actual call. So instead of normally without it, someone has to, message me, ask them what time I have available, ask me they can get on the phone call. Now they can literally have a conversation with AI. And I let them know too. Some people don't like to let people know it's AI. I don't care. I'd rather let you know so you see it, for what it is, because I'm offering anyway. Yeah. So now you can question and then literally get on a call. And then it's cool because once I get on the call, but some people like, oh man, I talked to your assistant John, and it was, yeah. And I just never expected something like that would be available this day and age. Like, yeah, this is a possibility. So for Instagram, I highly recommend if you run a business having something like that, because again, I'm a big proponent of speed wins. You can have two similar services, and literally because this person responded back faster than you can lose out on the customer.
I definitely agree. And I can so relate with you in regards to the chatbot ends up becoming its own entity in a way where, well, I've had my own chatbot as well. For those that follow me, they know my chatbot is named Brad. And there are those that actually send me messages in a DM, and it's almost like they're upset that it's me that responds. They were hoping to get Brad. I was like, okay. But yeah, it's interesting when you tell them up front, because I think there's a little bit of, you're not being fake. You're not pretending that it's an actual real individual. As long as I believe you give them quick responses, you give them exactly what they need fast and effectively, I think it'll work, because all they want technically is the information at that point that they're requesting. Megan, how about you? I'm going to go to you in regards to our next one.
Honestly, I use it in a lot of different ways, and it's really more about the small things that are kind of mundane, like rinse repeat activities that I don't need to hire somebody for, or that I could take off of my team's plate. A lot of that is grammar, correcting, coming up with ideas for content, or starting a response to emails, starting a draft for an email, continuing to iron out my SOPs of my business, and getting things so that it automatically records my screen so that it can then show my team how to do something instead of me telling them how to do something. Taking that middle tool away of, Loom it's a fantastic tool where it records your screen and kind of goes through, but there is now different AI tools that record your screen and then transcribe step by step in text what happened and what was done. And there's just a lot of cool mundane tasks that it really speeds things up. So it's more of the back end stuff for me, a little less of the content creation. A lot of the images I use on my social media, I haven't found what I like to do image creation yet for AI tools. But again, that's something I think I said before, find ways to play with it. I got to give myself that time to play with it. Right now, I'm not loving what I get for those responses. But more of the back end, the SOPs, the not so fun stuff when it comes to business, which then allows me to show up more freely and create on Instagram.
You're definitely trying to replace anybody that's on the back end that you may potentially need to hire, and you're handing it off to the AI as an assistant.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of it. I truly believe having those people on my team. I love my team. I love the people. I love that, community that I have with my team. So having ways to show them how to make it easier so that they get more done in an hour as well. So, if I'm paying people by the hour in a container for a month, they can get more done. So definitely that.
I mean, literally everything that I do, I'm using AI at this point. I was doing design and social strategy and brand strategy, and I just shifted and still speak to all those same people, but I'm using AI now to help them understand how they can also be using it. So I'll use it to actually come up with content ideas. I mean, I used to run social creative at Ulta. I was able to understand, like, okay, what is the sort of content that resonates well? And it's content that the audience can actually relate to, and it's actually relatable, and the funny stuff that does well. So I'm able to take my ChatGPT, and I use custom instructions. So I train ChatGPT to sound like me. I tell it the types of the phrases that I use. So I use GPT girlies and bot boys and bot babes, right? And so I tell it that. I say dope, I say sick. Like, these are phrases that I use. And so I train ChatGPT to use those terms when it gives me outputs. I tell it to write in a quirky, fun, relatable tone. And then I tell it who my audience is exactly. And I use ChatGPT to help me figure out and really hone in on who that audience is and really get a really great, like, ideal client persona. And then I use ChatGPT to create content that truly resonates with that ideal client persona and who I want to be speaking to. It's so crazy. Like, I can input a picture right now, right? We just saw Travis Kelce win the game, and now there's all these pictures of Taylor Swift whispering in his ear, right? I
Yeah.
could literally screenshot that picture, put it into ChatGPT, and say, write me 10 memes that my audience will find relatable. And it will then be like, okay, like, here are memes that your audience, because I know your audience are brand designers, they're entrepreneurs, they're all this, they have ADHD. Like, these are funny things that are going to be relatable to them. So being able to use this tool to dial in on truly who your audience is and create content that is gonna, like, actually speak to them. Like, so many things that I've posted that go off and do so well, the comments are literally like, oh my God, you see me, like, you understand me. And it's like, this is a robot, like, a robot wrote this. And I want that to really, like, help people kind of understand that in terms of Instagram and using it on Instagram, I really like to use it to actually help me come up with content ideas, relatable things that you wouldn't think of. And if you can make everything so personable now, like, do it. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. And from the conversation that's going on, I feel like I am heavily underutilizing AI from the way that you guys are describing it as personal assistants. I'll go into mine. I happen to use Flick, which is a social media tool to help you schedule posts, and it does so much. And one of the new features that they actually introduced is the social assistant. They built it right into the platform to make it so much easier for those that are unfamiliar with AI. And some of the features that it does, it just makes the whole idea. My workflow is so much faster. Like, some of the things that it does is, like ChatGPT, it could help you create ideas for the type of posts that you are sharing. But because it knows your audience and the type of content that you share, it kind of niches those topics and ideas to what you normally would produce. So if you're like a carpenter, it wouldn't give you the idea of being a musician or something of that form. It knows the type of content that you share, and it is going to actually cater its responses to your account, pretty much, of what you share. The more niche down you are, is the better the response that it will give you. So that's definitely one aspect on how I use it to just come up with different ideas and how to figure out how to say things in different ways. One of the other aspects, which I love, hashtags are still important on Instagram. I don't care what anybody says. If I put one hashtag and it gets one person to view it, it's doing its job. I admit it is not performing like it used to. I think they're still important. But I also don't want to spend so much time searching for them and doing research. And one of the aspects of this social assistant is it actually goes out and figures out which hashtags will work best and which ones are relatable. So, and then it gives you all of the data besides it, how often it's being used within an hour. And it's just really incredible. It makes my entire process, where I used to search for hashtags manually, it used to take me up to a half hour to an hour. Now it's like 2 minutes. I'm done. And this feature that I haven't tried out yet, but I really want to, there's one that it repurposes content. If you give it a link, like to a blog, it could take that information and repurpose it in another format for you that you can go ahead and utilize. And it's just like, it's just entirely decreases the amount of time that you would be spending creating this content manually.
Makes everything so much easier.
That's the key word, easier. And just because it's easier doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. But in certain situations, it will work out better for you when you hand it off to these AI tools. It's faster. Sometimes it's much more effective. There are so many ways that we could be using AI right now to help us work smarter and not harder. And at the end of the day, that's my mantra. I love that. I say it all the time. I think moving forward, business owners, content creators, we have to strongly consider AI and see where it fits best within our businesses and workflows, because we can't get left behind if we decide not to. That's what's going to generally happen. And you're going to start to lose out to those that adopted it quick and adopted it proficiently. I'm not saying that they became prompt masters, but they knew what they were doing and they took care of business. I hope that you guys do take all of the information that we all just shared, Lauren, Megan, and Rock, utilize it to the best of your abilities in regards to moving forward with AI. Like I always say, I hope that you take the information and step your gram up.
I'd love to share more about the Social Roundtable with you. If you have a moment, check out the playlist that's on the screen. It's featuring more episodes from the Social Roundtable all about Instagram growth, the latest new features, and strategic ways to build on your engagement, and so much more. You're not going to miss it, so make sure you check it out, and I'll see you there.